It's bright and early right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Guys.
And it's the unbeatable team. We're upbeat as well. Good morning. This beautiful Wednesday morning, I'm blessed amongst Jeffrey and Kayode, and I'm also Bukola Koka.
Well, she said it. I'm Kayode Okikilo. I'd love to see you guys do sports, by the way, now that you mentioned unbeatable team. What's your favorite sport, Jeffrey?
Of course, it's football. I love football. I don't know that I love any other thing apart from football. It's exciting. That's what we grew up on, watching a lot of the Super Eagles, and then some of us wanted to be footballers, but destiny did not, the stars did not align in that direction.
What's your favorite position? Football?
I played a lot. I played 7 as well. I was a winger, but I was also a goalkeeper at some point.
No way.
Yeah, so I was a winger, I was a striker, so...
And so why are you retiring so early? All of this potential, Jeffrey.
It wasn't meant to be. I'm just here. I don't know. I'm not great at deceiving myself when the time was right, you know. But
you retired.
At that time, you know, we love it for... It wasn't because of the money, I think, then. The early 90s was just watching the greats, some of them dead now, you know, making Nigeria proud, you know, representing the country, pushing up our image. The only time when conversations are not divisive, are not, you know, ethnic, doesn't have any form of ethnic coloration. So we just loved it. Not to talk of now. If it was now, definitely, perhaps. Even if it's a play for the 4th tier or 3rd tier of any league in Europe and build your way up. Because when you look at what they pay these guys, I don't know what kind of job you're going to do as a professional, even if you work in Manhattan, in Wall Street, or even you're the CEO of any multinational company, your money is a joke compared to the kind of money these guys make.
Well, that is a big debate, Jeffrey, because they tell you that behind those footballers are those people in the offices who are looking at the money, helping you invest them and making a lot of bucks.
I like to be the one to be making the money, and then the intellectuals will be sorting my monies out. I prefer that position.
Well, the footballers also go through a lot of mental pressure, pressure to perform, pressure to deliver, and you know, some of the stories around that are not quite wholesome. But we do appreciate them for what they do.
Your turn, Bukola.
Well, I've never been your sportswoman right from the time I was in secondary school. So, but I did, you know, attempt to participate in the match pass during inter-house sport. But sports maybe was never for me. But I do love to watch track and field during the Olympics. You know, holds a lot of symbolism for me through a lot of life's experiences, endurance, the spirit of sportsmanship. I love to watch how, you know, some athletes fall by the wayside and then others leave, you know, just to help them. So many, the beauty of the track and field, you know, always enamors me during the Olympics and of course through other championships. But sports, I think it's too late, Kayode.
It's never say never. Well, naturally, football comes for me as well. And I wonder why, because there's basketball, there's tennis, table tennis naturally, but I think football, it is for me. And I think that's for majority of Nigerians. In fact, majority of people in the world, they love football. But that's just on a lighter note. This is, maybe take this as a sign for you to start exercising if you're watching us.
You know, for football, for everybody who grew up, wherever you grew up, whether you're rich or poor, it's the easiest. How many people know where a golf course is or a polo club is?
No, come on, golf is all the way there. Well, let's talk maybe tennis.
I'm saying that this is one thing you can just go around your corner in your house.
2 stones, and then
you don't even need a ball to play football.
Yeah, any round object.
Anything round object that can be kicked around. You know, some of us played in the rain, on water. I played football on water. Literally, we're playing on the field and water, so you just continue to play.
It's usually the water ball, we call it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's why I feel for the kids now who do not have the luxury that we have, because I see that as the luxury. Playground. How many schools have playground now? They have concrete all over the place. What kind of... Anyway, maybe that's a topic for another day.
But that's not what we have for
I wanted that to sink in for a lot of people, because it's something we take for granted. But we're talking security first this morning. That was, by the way, but it's a very important conversation, really. But we're starting with security. Leah Sharibo. A lot of people may have forgotten that name, but much more people should never forget that name because she's still in captivity. And, well, the federal government is reiterating the commitment to securing her release and the remaining abducted Chibok schoolgirls, as the government assures Nigerians that the girls have not been forgotten despite the passage of time. And this was part of the things said on the side of a multi-agency meeting on anti-kidnapping, which is organized by the United Nations Crime Agency, the Counter-Terrorism Center. Of course, the coordinator of that center, Major General Adamulaka, spoke about this, as well as some of the kidnapped girls having been rescued over the years, saying that efforts are still on to rescue them. This is something we must not forget, because there's a tendency to move on and leave them behind.
I'm just imagining, it's something I don't like talking about, I don't like commenting on, because it's one of the most difficult things to deal with in life psychologically. It's not sometimes death, is the lack of closure. Is a person alive? Is a person dead? Is a person in good hands? What's the state of the person? Because there is no closure. It's like a mental pressure, mental struggle in perpetuity. If it's death, for instance, God forbid, you just know. This is why when people die, they say, see the body and all of that. But this one is so, you're not sure. So I don't know where this optimism of government is coming from. I understand the role of government. They are part of their responsibility is to push hope and keep it alive and all of that. But I hope that before they come out to say these things, they're not just making statement and political statement. A mother is expecting her daughter back, if that is the person is alive anyway. A father is expecting a daughter back, his daughter back. A family member is expecting. So if there is nothing concrete that should push this optimism, I think the government should just stay quiet and not say anything. Because for me and you, the story is far from, it may not mean much. But for the families that this is affecting, reigniting hope and then waiting for another 2-3 years to another hope to be reignited is too much torture.
Speaking of the torture and agony, there's the agony of a mother. I just saw a video, over the night of her mother who has been celebrating her birthday every year since 2018, when Leah Sharibu and 109 other girls were kidnapped in Dapchi, Yobe State. And, we cannot quantify, we can only imagine the experience of Leah Sharibu's parents time and again. We talk about it every year and we move on with our own lives about what is it like for the parents of Leah Sharibu and indeed the parents of the remaining Chibok girls. Of course, some of them luckily were found in the forests, over the last couple of years and were returned and reunited with their families and hopefully reintegrated in line with government's promises. But what about the rest? There are reports that, some of their parents may have died as a result of that pain. Let's go over to that sound bite now from the Director General of the National Counterterrorism Center, Mr. Adamulaka, and hear, some of the things that he said about the resolve to return in Leah Sharibu and the others.
Since when they were kidnapped, those who were rescued were not just rescued one time. It was a gradual process. Negotiations were done, trying to get them out. Operations were conducted. Some were rescued. Luckily, at the beginning of that, towards a year after they were kidnapped, I was in the theater, and I know what the military and intelligence agencies put in to rescue the initial set of the Chibok girls. We haven't given up.
So there you have the national coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adamulaka. So it's been 7 years now, for those who are wondering. Her mother, as Bukola said, celebrated her 22nd birthday. But, well, you wouldn't call that celebration, really, because there's that saying that, it's better to have closure than to just be in limbo. You're wondering, what is the fate of my daughter? There's been a lot of messaging that has come through from the kidnappers' den, from those who have either escaped, people who saw her, or some sort of messages even sent by those who have kept her in captivity, all sorts of things. And I think enough is enough, because it's marks of just you know, brazenness in that sense, because these people are still operating in our territory. It looks like they are ungoverned spaces that they have taken over. So it's good to hear that there's that commitment, but more importantly, we need to see Leah Sharibu.
And I wonder if, you know, this announced resolve is evidence of the fact that there is intelligence about the state of those girls, the remaining Chibok girls, and Leah Sharibu. But if it is, it certainly gives hope that someday, by some miracle, Leah and the other Chibok girls may return. But we must not lose sight of the underlying problems, challenges in the north that give a fertile ground for kidnapping, terrorism, banditry to continue to thrive. And how much of resources is being devoted to addressing those issues of poverty, insecurity, radicalism. Of course, don't also forget that, you know, one of the leaders of Boko Haram, who died many times, Abubakar Shekau, was said to have been himself, you know, an Alimajiri. So those are the real issues that we must not lose sight of. What is this current state of, you know, socioeconomic distribution of resources in Nigeria's north? The other day, the president, I beg your pardon, was telling the governors to wet the ground at the grassroots. So this speaks to perhaps even a disconnect in the ideology of the ruling party. And indeed, in fact, the other parties too, we could speak to them. But what is the real ideology that is powering the distribution of resources in the north and in other parts of the country? So those issues of poverty, insecurity must be eliminated so that the people can be empowered and not wait for palliatives and you know, those handouts during every electioneering cycle. They must be empowered with education, with, you know, health resources, such that they can make decisions by themselves, and we can move from this monthly and in fact daily discussions on insecurity and the attendant consequences in Nigeria's north.
Okay, while we're talking about Leah Sharibu and Chibok girls, we also have some success stories from the police. Yeah. We understand that the Inspector General of Police has announced the arrest of over 5,000 suspected criminals and rescue of 170 kidnapped victims across the country. That's the report between June and July. Today is July the 30th. The police boss also announced that the police recovered over 3,300 firearms, over 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and 216 stolen or unregistered vehicles from various operations across the country. He was speaking during a strategic meeting with inspectors generals, or deputy inspectors general, I should say, and other top officials of the police force and management. So, some success story. You know, sometimes we highlight a lot of the failures on the side of the police force, but they also record a lot of success. In fact, I remember the IGP talking about one time that before one slip happens, a lot of success has been recorded. It's just that sometimes when we look at the slip, some of the slips are avoidable, but we must commend them, Kari and Bukola, for some of these efforts, and this is why we need record. What this brings to the fore, I think, for instance, now China is trying to make people have more than one child or two or so. You know, there was a time there was a one-child policy because of population explosion, and now they've discovered that because of that restriction, maybe they missed out on about 400 million people being born into the population, and there's an aging population in part of the country. I refer that to say that one of the biggest challenges of the federal government of Nigeria as a country, is the issue of data. We need to sort out our data as far back as yesterday. We cannot keep guessing about things. So I like the fact that we have this record and all of these things. I know that we're also looking for the exact record of how many policemen we have in Nigeria. It keeps changing. There's no certainty, because there's the suspicion that maybe 30 or 40% of the population of the police force, or the number of the police force, is attached to big men and all of these guys. So, but if we don't have reliable data, as simple as things like census. So when I see these kind of things, it's easy to either critique, comment, or commend, whatever it is. So we like all of this number. Commendation to the Nigerian police force, but there's a lot that needs to be done, because insecurity is still very high in our country.
So speaking of which, when you match it with the data of Nigerians who are being killed on a daily basis, if you put it on an aggregate, then there is a big gap, you know, as we say, when you think about the ratio of policing to Nigerians. Of course, I recall Babajide Ogunsowo, a data analyst, saying that over the weekend on Sunday, that indeed the number of persons who have been killed on an aggregate in the first quarter of 2025 has reduced when you compare it with, you know, what was recorded in the first quarter of 2023. But then again, they are in the realm of thousands. So there's also a very big challenge as far as the ratio of policing to the number of Nigerians. And if only, you know, there are more resources devoted to policing, to recruitment, then perhaps the pressure on the military, you know, in its intervention in tackling terrorism will reduce. And of course, then the police can be made to be more effective. So those are the real issues. When we celebrate, we must also look at the overall big picture and, of course, devote resources to what matters instead of continually tackling the symptoms and leaving the root causes to fester. If not, we'll continue to come back and talk about the same issues over and over.
There you have it. We're big on security because nothing can happen without security. So commendations were due. And of course, we raise the eyebrows where we ought to. But there's more we have for you on the program today. And well, this has gotten a number of people talking. A group in southeast Nigeria is promising 200 million naira to support President Bola Tinubu if he chooses to recontest for president. In fact, to help him secure the form for re-election. And it's gotten a lot of people talking, and that has raised questions about the president's performance in southeast Nigeria. We'll be speaking with the man who's leading that group to get a sense of the inspiration, the rationale behind that decision.
And there's more. We'll look at the state of our prisons through the eye of someone who got, you know, a clemency recently. That's after having spent nearly 2 decades behind bars. And we look at the story of this individual and perhaps weigh it with what others may be going through. Thousands of inmates have been in prison awaiting trial, and we'll also be looking at those issues on a holistic, you know, from a holistic point of view, in order to help, you know, the correctional service and indeed the government to make informed decisions. So we'll look at that as well today.
All right. That's not all. We also bring you the state of safety, whether you're talking about road, rail, water, or air transport. Just recording that mishap in Niger State of late. And some other near mishaps when it comes to air travel. So we'll be having a sit-down, hopefully, with the Director General of the NSIB, the Safety Investigation Bureau, on the program today.
Absolutely. So that's what we have on offer this morning. It's going to be a very good conversation. So whichever is of interest to you, plug in and let's have a chat. But first, we'll get to the newspaper headlines to see what the headlines are saying. We'll be joined by our analyst today, who is an executive director of CJID, Mr. Akintunde Babatunde. Just a moment. Okay, welcome back. Let's get to talk about, you know, this Nigeria as well. I want to start from, guys, although we've talked about this, but it's important we re-highlight it, if there's a word like that, so Nigerians can get to see and get to empathize. As I said, it's something very touching. It's quite difficult to swallow. But over 4,100 the numbers exactly is 4,126 days, according to the papers, after hope not lost on Chibok girls Leah Sharibo FG Tales UK team. At meeting with foreign delegation, National Security Advisor's representative, General Adamu Laka, says efforts to free kidnapped girls still in front burner. And I think we've commented a lot on this morning, and we've given our 2 cents on the matter as far as the issue of this kidnapping is concerned. But just above, just besides the nameplate, we see Senate gives the NNPCL 3 weeks to address 210 trillion naira audit queries. It's just a funny back and forth. They've given deadline, and well, I think it's time for Mr. Ojulari to just go and show up and answer the question. But I know that when I looked at the issues around what do you call it now, the numbers in terms of accounting, I think it's just simple understanding of accounting that needs to be reconciled. But if there are queries to be made, I think they have the authority to do so, to summon anybody. So if the lawmakers are not clear on the reporting sequence of the NNPCL should do the best they can after they've done before to go and further explain themselves. But we're being joined now by Akintunde Babatunde, his executive director at CJID. Mr. Babatunde, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Kaide. Good morning.
Yes, we've laced our voices around the issue of Leah Sharibo. I'm sure you have something to say about Chibok girls as well, but I also tagged along the story of the NNPCL and the back and forth between the NNPCL and the Committee, I think, on Finance over the issue of discrepancies in accounting to the tune of 210 trillion. And there's been the argument whether it's just an understanding of how accounting books are reported or there's really a missing, just an hyperbole. What do you make of it?
Right. Thank you for having me. I think for Leah Sharibu and the Chibok girls, I sort of think that years after, the fact that we are still here and there's been no visible progress when it comes to getting to know where they are or the rescue operation, and the fact that it's also not dominated headlines anymore, because I sort of think the country has moved on, but I don't think their family moved on. I don't think, because for every of the girls that are in captivity, whose family haven't seen or heard from, they're not sure where they are, I sort of think it's an everlasting sense of, sadness and disappointment against the Nigerian state. So the fact that the government is saying that they're still working on it, where we've also had too many other Chibok girls, we've had too many other Leah Sharibus, across the country where there have been abduction, kidnapping. I think it brings us to a major conversation about what really is the Nigerian state doing to secure the country? What really is the Nigerian state doing to make sure that people can sleep, with their all eyes closed? What government is doing to make sure that the country is safe from terrorists, from bandits, and all sort of criminality. So I think it's a moment of national reflection. It's a moment of another question about the kind of architecture that we have to track down abductors, to track down kidnappers, because since Leah Sharibu and the Chibok girls, we've had too many other instances that that some are not even reported anymore. Some are even, it's just normal when people even hear those news. Then today they are just like, yeah, it's just part of. It's now like a normal occurrence, and that's not normal. That's not what the state should be like. In my opinion. So yeah, we hope that one day we would celebrate the return of the girls, and more importantly is that nothing like that would happen in our country anymore. I think that's the most important thing. And then just to briefly talk about the back and forth with NNPC and the National Assembly, I think every now and then the NNPC has been in the news for all sort of controversy, whether it's about opening their books, whether it's about way before during the days of NNPC and now NNPCL, it's always been like that. So one, I'm not surprised that this is happening, but I also do think it also brings us to understand what level of coordination do we have across spheres of government. If the National Assembly is, if the National Assembly that is mandated to provide oversight on institutions like the NNPC, the question is what level of openness, because one of the big issues that leads to this back and forth and all of this controversy is always opacity in the operation of government agencies. So if NNPC does business of oil and gas and there are figures that are not clear, I sort of think before it becomes mainstream, proactive disclosure as demanded by global transparency initiatives, I think that's very important. And if that is missing in the way that NNPC conducted business, because 244 trillion, that's a lot of money that I think could potentially change the course of the country if that allegation is true anyway. But I'm not sure. We don't know. We don't have the details. So I do think that the National Assembly and NNPC should come together and open the books so that there are questions asked, there are clarifications given, and Nigerians will know what's the true picture. I don't think we want a repeat of past situation where there are figures being thrown all around and there are really no evidence to show whether or not these things are true. I think the National Assembly and NNPCL should meet and have, you know, very sincere conversation as to what kind of realities do we have where trillions of naira are sort of not accounted for.
Well, indeed, the Senate did meet with the group managing director of the NNPCL yesterday and gave Mr. Bayo Julari, is it 2 weeks now, to report back on those missing funds between 2017, 3 weeks, between 2017 and 2023. And, you know, well, that's fair enough, but let's assume, without conceding, that he has some questions to answer. But might it also suffice that the Senate should also be speaking with the immediate past group managing director of the corporation? Besides that, there are other issues also that border on opacity that we often talk about in the NNPC. The Port Harcourt refinery, for instance, that was said to be on maintenance and shut down for a month, but it's been more than a month since, and we're here to hear anything despite the resources committed to turnaround maintenance. That's just in passing. But let's go to the New Telegraph now, Mr. Babatunde, and there's also another issue that the New Telegraph is bringing to our attention this morning that is equally important. INEC is speaking today, this morning, and it says quality of election still challenging at local level. And, you know, this is reminiscent of one of the recommendations made by the Patriots in this, amid this constitution review, or a change of constitution process. And that recommendation is to the effect that elections into local government offices are not reliable. Hence, they're calling for a national local government election committee to conduct credible elections at the local level. What are your thoughts on this vis-a-vis what INEC is saying about the quality of elections at the local government level?
Right. Thank you. I think that the conversation about local government and the elections would not be complete if we don't really look at the current configuration of local governance in the country. First, I agree that the quality of elections in local government is challenging. I don't even think it's challenging. I don't really think that what is happening in local government election in the country, I really don't think that could qualify as election, in my opinion, because you have a total decimation of political parties other than the parties that are in power. I mean, the governor's party in most instances. So you really don't see any level of competition that signal democracy or that signal citizen participation, because it's almost a given that whoever is the governor, in very rare instances you don't have that situation, but it's almost given that in any other in any state where the governor is in power, then most likely the local government election will be won by the government, the power of the party of the government in power. So that's challenging, and that's not just even the case. If you look at the FAC allocation that goes to local government, despite court pronouncement, you've seen the disposition of a lot of state governors as to the fact that they're not ready to do that. There's a lot of challenges in local governance in the country. I don't think local governments are fiscally viable. A lot of them are in terrible state. I've seen reports of local government in the country sort of asking for funding for a renovation of local government secretariats. You've seen a lot of primary schools in local governments in terrible situation. So yes, the election is challenging. I really do think the configuration of how local governance is being handled in the country needs to be revisited. And if the court order that guarantees that financial allocation to local government should go directly to them is still being contested, or that is not even happening months after, that speaks to the kind of country that we are in. So I do think that, yes, the elections are challenging. I'm not really sure what we mean by a national electoral committee that would run elections in local government, because if we're saying that local government is the closest government to people, and we have 774 local government, and we also still want to have a national body that would conduct elections at local government level, then that's a paradox, because I do think that this kind of democratic exercise and electoral procedure should be done at the local government level. So if state governments are not, if states don't have capacity, and I say capacity very very carefully, because I don't mean capacity in the real sense. I mean if states are not able to genuinely commit to free, fair, and credible elections at local government level, and citizens are not empowered to really have, choices as to who they want to have in government, right, at the local government level. And if what is happening at the local government level is not selection as against election, right, then I do think that brings us to a big question about the quality of about rule of law, the questions about the quality of people that we have at running the affairs of states, and then what it takes away from the power of the people. Because I do think that a lot of the challenges, a lot of the governance challenges, security challenges that we have in the country would be reduced if local government function at the highest level possible. But that is not happening. Well, and if the process of electing leaders at local government level is still amateur, is mediocre at those points, then I think it calls for a national conversation. So I do think that we should check what state governments are doing and call state government to account on whatever we have as the reality of local government election and governance in the country.
And this just puts the whole conversation in context, because some will say even the national elections have their fair share of controversies and questions to answer, right? So when national says, well, local government, you have a lot of work to do. Local government also says, national, you have a lot of work to do. And we sort of have that back and forth. But I think one thing is clear, that we need to fix that and stop playing the ostrich. But let's take a look at Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper is talking politics, and it has a regional slant to it. And this is what you find on the front page. Tinubu reassures North of development as ACF chair, ex-SGF kick. It's a page 5 read. So this has dominated the news ever since the former governor of Kano State, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, speaking about, the spread of projects, and government had to respond, saying, in fact, the North has more, right? But take a look at the explainers. My government will leave no region behind in development. That's coming from the president. Northern governors reaffirm support for president, call for deepened citizens' engagement. But you see this one, Boko Haram bandits attacks declined under Tinubu Ribadu. North marginalized under Tinubu ACF chair. And you see even Babachir Lawal saying Kwankwaso is right, North is marginalized. While Ohaneze, Pandef, MBF also speak about this. It looks like the North is a bride now to sort of get for politicians. What does, I don't know for you, what does data say about this? Because some will say, oh, what about other regions? There's Southeast, there's South-South, there's Southwest, but it looks like all the attention is on the North.
Right. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, the interesting thing with all of this headline, one of this headline about the North is the fact that I think that the question should really because the question should really be why should we have a northern southern slant to development conversations in the country? Why should we have that? In my opinion, a lot of what is happening with what the Northerners or what the Northern leaders are saying probably should be a question about, you know, are they really incandescent about their own being out of power, or is it really about an average Northerner? Because if you review what it is in the country generally, as it were, I think political elite would always play the ethnic, you know, card, you know, for attention, for visibility, and all of that. But you think through what has been the norm over the years. The northern region, the southern region, and any other region have been at the receiving end of irresponsible governance that I don't think has any ethnic slant to it. Think of out-of-school children, you have them in the north and you have them in the south. Think of banditry and insecurity, you have them across board. Think of kidnapping, ransom, and all of those things, that's happening across board. So I really do think conversations about national leadership should be more about the quality of government delivery. Do we have good roads? Do we have good infrastructure? Do we have good healthcare centers? Do we have functioning healthcare centers? Are people safe across board, whether the north or the south? You know, that I think should dominate conversations in forums like this. Not necessarily, because I do think that even the government that was headed by a northerner, we probably need to look at the numbers about are we looking at the numbers of development indicators? Are we looking at, how many people are lifted out of poverty? How many people have access to good health care? How many people do the right job and get the right and the commensurate wages? You know, so the point that I think is happening is that maybe the undertone is that northern elites feel excluded from national leadership. Maybe that's the case, I don't know. But I think that generally the government of the day should think more about how do we think about development across board, because I do think that it's distracting to start thinking about whether or not the south or the north benefit or not. I really do. I'm looking at the numbers. Are people poorer now than 2 years ago? Are people richer now than 2 years ago? Are people, is 1,000 naira worth the same thing than it was worth 3 years ago? Those are conversations we should have. Are people working extra and making more, or is the case reverse? Do we have more out-of-school children now, whether in the north or in the south? Do we have clear layer of security in the north or in the south? Are people happy, with the government? And do they feel that the government is visible? Or are people their own government on their own? Do people, provide, healthcare for themselves? Do they, those are questions that I really think should be happening among political elites. Whether or not we're talking about, we need to look at the numbers, but it's pretty much more about how many northern elites do you have in government or in positions of leadership. But that's not what affects the common man, because at the end of the day, I'm from Oyo State, but I really care more about, I really care more about the quality of leadership that transcends beyond Oyo State, the quality of leadership that transcends beyond the South, so that people, Nigerians, just don't want much. Nigerians just want a country that works. Nigerians just want to go to work, do their job, make money, and live normal life. Nigerians just want to travel by road from anywhere in the country and be safe. Nigerians just don't want to see for ransom. I really think those are conversations that not elites, political elites from North and the South should talk about, not necessarily, conversations that are distracting that could potentially be more about, are you bored because you're not in government, or is it much more? Because when maybe probably check the details about whether or not the North is better off or whether the South is better off. Is the country better off? That's my position.
Fantastic. I think we've all agreed on one thing. We just want a better country. The definition of better may differ from person to person. But let's go to Nigerian News Direct. It's a big headline that relates to what you just spoke to, so I may not dwell on it. Renewed hope must not become recycled promises. But what's important is what's above the nameplate, which is the Osun 2026. PDP paranoid of looming defeats. Oyetola replies PDP. That's credited to the Minister of Blue Economy. As Minister dismisses allegation of rigging, judiciary manipulation. There's a lot that's been going on in Osun State that is very, very concerning. And it's the issue of local government administration. As we speak, we have the PDP-led local government administration. We have chairmen who were elected this year, and then the ones that said they reinstated in court from 2022 by the APC. We don't know whether FAC is being released, and if it is being released, who is it being released to? So what do you make of this ping-pong between these political parties at the expense of the people? 2 minutes, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think this, I sort of mentioned, about local government and all of those things. I think Osun is the battleground, and it's going to be a determining factor. It's always like we're testing the waters as to what the national general election would be like the following year. So I think that the contestations that we have with local government and courts making pronouncements, I think it also brings us back to the point I made earlier about the fact that at the local government level, at state level, we have such level of dysfunction that don't always make it to national headlines, or where people are more bothered about what the president is doing, that we sometimes don't pay attention to what is happening at the state level. Now, I do think that Osun State and the leaders in the state should sit together and first clear the states of controversy with, do we have local government leadership by the APC or by the PDP? I think it's bad enough that we have a looming court case and we have a lot of controversy. And it's also very interesting to see the concern of the PDP in Osun State about the election. To be honest, I do think that the decision about who will become what at the end of the day is with the people. But it then means people need to, one, be very active and follow through. People need to ensure that the elections they follow through the election. People need to make sure that they defend their mandates, and then we need to then call on INEC that conduct election at the state level to ensure that there's a fair playing ground at that level. Because I think that the country would be, there's a lot that will be happening in Osun, and people will be looking at what would happen in Osun as a peep into what's going to happen at the general election. So I think all eyes on Osun, and I really do think that it's condemnable that what we have at local government, in Osun State is also happening across many other states, maybe not as loud and not as controversial as what we have, but the patterns are the same. State government wants to, exert authority on who becomes what at local government level. But missing in action are the people. The people don't even have a choice. They're just spectators. I think it shouldn't be a democracy. People shouldn't be spectators. They should be active. Yeah,
points well noted. I think you've spoken quite clearly. Akintunde Babatunde is the Executive Director at CJID. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program and for your analysis.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we get to that very first conversation for the day. The issues around the elections that are coming up in 2027, and it's already causing a huge buzz in 2025 with different regions across some political parties, APC, for instance, now endorsing the president from the Southeast. How much of a difference would this make in 2027? And what's the intent of this eventually? We'll find out right here on the program with our guest. Join us again.
Some days ago, an event held in southeast Nigeria where a group came together, and there you have it. The Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda group came together and they said that they wanted to give 200 million naira towards the expected purchase of President Bola Tinubu's re-election form. We have the coordinator, the national coordinator of the Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda, who joins us live now. Belusochukwu Enwere is the national coordinator of the Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda. Joins us live on the program. Good morning, Mr. Enwere. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you, sir.
It was good to have you. I know we caught you in the middle of a trip at the airport, but we'll make this count as much as possible. But speak to us about the rationale behind this, giving 200 million naira towards the re-election of President Bola Tinubu. Well, he said he's not thinking about that now. He hasn't said anything about that, but we know these things. So speak to us about the rationale, because for a lot of people, Southeast belongs to Peter Obi.
Thank you so much. It is a great day to be with you on NSIB. The topic in question has for some time now attracted exhaustive discussion from different quarters. I know many writers and the analysts, they have been on this topical issue for some time now. But it is against this background that I want to make my own personal contribution and contributions on behalf of Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda on this national and sensitive issue. I want to let us know that many years past, Southeast has been rejected, marginalized, and dejected, so to say. And that was the bone of contention that we all came together. Eminent Southeast youths, professionals, businessmen came together. As he said, this man, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has remembered the Southeast. He has done a lot for us. He has taken the bull by the horn by initiating projects for our region. Take for instance, the Southeast Development Commission. Take for instance again, the 150 billion naira investment just for Southeast investment and development of our region. Another is the massive road constructions, etc. And finally, the latest is the $3 billion railway projects to reconnect Southeast to the national. It is imperative to note that many presidents have come and gone, but none has remembered that we, the Southeast, we deserve this. Since the end of civil war in Southeast, we have been marginalized, we have been rejected. It is only this president that said, come, what are railway businesses? What is happening in Southeast? Can we bring these people? Can we reconnect these people to the center? And you can see that is what happened. And all of us, we came together and said, no, for his purchase of his farm and other logistics, we are going to give him 200 million naira.
But Mr. Enwere, if I could quickly come in here, is this a sentiment that is shared by, if not the generality, but maybe majority of the Southeast? Because as I said, when you hear Southeast, based on the previous election, you naturally think Peter Obi, 99%, well, let's say 90% plus. So, this your view? Does it represent? So, does it represent the majority or just a few of you?
That is not a few of us. Let me now say this: that we have learned our lessons Southeast have learned our lessons, and it is very, very good that we connect. Southeast must correct that at this time. This is the turn of the South. This is not the turn of the Southeast. And when you come to the Southeast, let me say this. We have never produced a president. And when you want to produce a president, we know that democracy is that anybody can come out, is government for the people and for the people. Everybody has his own interest. And for the collective interest of Southeasterners, we must join our brothers. We must join our fellow Southerners to harmonize and actualize these projects. Tinubu has started well. President Tinubu has started very, very well, and he's doing marvelous in the aspect of education, infrastructure, youth development, etc. Now, let me give you for instance. Look at the people around him. Look at the number of young people, youths, 30 plus, below 40, who are ministers. Take for instance, the Minister for Youth Development is a youth, less than 40 years. Minister for Interior, check them. Just go SS to the president. Many of them, you can see that this man, he has the interest of the young people at heart. He's not a man that discriminates. This is not just people that came together, few of us that came. No, this is a collective interest. Now, you should know that on that note, we have toured the 5 states in Southeast, coming from the world level to the local government and down to the state level. We have inaugurated them. Now, after this project, we are now moving down that power to the grassroots. We made mention of that. That the local government coordinators and their leaders
if I'm a button, Chief.
level, so that we come together to make.
All right, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, fantastic. So let's talk numbers. Great idea from what you're pushing to show support for the president, for what you believe in, what he's doing. But when it comes to elections, it's about numbers, which is why when my colleague Kayode was talking to our analyst this morning, we're talking about why this not conversation, because when it comes to election, everything boils down to numbers. Whatever ideas you have, it boils down to numbers. So first, the PDP has been the natural, winner of elections in the Southeast, historically. There was an outlier in 2023, which came through Peter Obi Labour Party. So I have the data here. APC scored 127,000 plus in the entire Southeast, with Imo and Abia states. Imo giving it the biggest numbers in that particular one for APC, 66,000. PDP scored about 91,000. Highest numbers also coming from Imo. The Labour Party about 1.9 million. The biggest number coming from Anambra. And then the NMPP scored about 9,000 votes. The biggest numbers coming, I think, from Ebonyi. So by data, historically, APC hasn't never done well in, by their 10-year existence and the elections they've been part of. They've not done well in terms of the numbers. So I gave you data here. So how do you want to switch this in 4 years? Given the complaint about the state of the economy, some are saying, oh, give the president a chance. Others are saying, no, it's not done well. So talk to us about the practicality of how you want to give the president hope in a place where there's really no hope in terms of numbers that I just showed you here.
You are saying that this is just practical, and politics is a game of numbers. And you are saying that what I just exemplified just gave us the example of what we are going to do in the Southeast. We are going to change the narrative. This is the time. This is the game changer. And you know that this group is apolitical. We have both APC, PDP, Labour Party, who believes in the vision of the president, that says, President, for you to remember this vision, we are going to show you that we are really ready for your re-election bid come 2027. We have not started politicking, but we are warming the ground to show the people that now, since we have already, the strategy is not something we are going to just say on the national television, but I want to say this to us, that we have started already with all the wards and the local government down to the community levels and villages. That is what we have started so far, sensitizing the people letting the people know what the president stands for, letting the people know what the president has done for us in Southeast, letting people know what the president has done for Nigerians. We just take, for instance, some of our youths in our region and all over Nigeria. Take, for instance, the NEF fund, where students can now access school fees, loan from government. What is happening abroad is now happening in our doorstep. Where students, you can go to any institution of your choice, whether you don't need to have your parents as the richest, or you don't need to have your mother as the richest or a billionaire before you attend a degree. It is now very, very easy for our youth to attend just a degree. And not only that, you can now access businesses. Now that entrepreneurship and all that are the key to it, it is a very good development. That is number one. Number two is that our people, we are serious to ensure that Southeast help our brother to actualize this feat, so that during our own time, we'll have our brothers as well coming together. This is not the time of saying this is for PDP or no. We must come together. That narrative that says that PDP is in charge of Southeast, that has gone. That has gone forever. That is nothing like PDP has taken over Southeast again. We have taken over Southeast. Southeast is going to be for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And we will make sure we will tour the nooks and crannies of Southeast to ensure that the president gets victory come 2027. That is the assurance we are having for you. And we will ensure that is done. Very, very, very important. And again, okay, go ahead.
You can land on that thought, that last one.
Sorry, I didn't get.
You can land on that thought, that last one you were about to express before I come in.
Yes, I have said it that way. We told the nooks and crannies of Southeast to ensure that the president gets victory come 2027, because he has done a lot, not only for Southeast but for Nigerians. Look, this is only the president who can take the bull by the horn, as I said before, who has the willpower, even not only to challenge the new frontier, but to bring new development, new ideas, novel programs, novel projects to Southeast and to Nigerians. And by so doing, we will make him proud. We will ensure his re-election will come 2027.
Okay, well, some Nigerians will say they're waiting to see how you're going to pull that off, considering the data that my colleague just reeled out for you. And besides that, the evident, consequences of the economic policies of this administration, which affects everyone, not just Nigerians in the north or in the southwest, but also in the southeast. But beyond that, some would say, you see, politics is written over all of this. I was looking for, you said earlier that you are professionals. You came together and raised these funds, 200 million naira in this economy. Someone said that's quite a lot of money. What's the nature of your profession? How were you able to arrive at this particular figure? I was checking through the Corporate Affairs Commission website, searching for your group. I didn't find your group. And does this have the handwriting of the governor of Imo State over it, because he's a supporter of Mr. President and, of course, by extension, Mr. President's second-term ambition? So does this have Governor Hope Uzodimma's handwriting on it, or can you tell us what you do as professionals that empowered you to raise this sum under this harsh economic situation?
You have said that, number one, let me say this, that Governor Hope Uzodimma is an eminent son of Imo State and a governor par excellence in Imo State, who has done so well as well for the good people of Imo. And they're trying to galvanize Southeast together for us to be one. He has done a lot in terms of road construction, etc. And if you come to Imo, you'll see that roads have changed the landscape. What other governors could not do in the past 20 years, we just achieved it in the space of 8 years. Not up to 8 years, go to Imo State, those projects can speak for itself. So when there is no hand of Governor Hope Uzodimma coming to say these people that gave us money or something like that for us to protect. No. What rather, Governor Hope Uzodinma is an ardent supporter and that believes in President's vision. That is what I can say on this. And Governor Hope Uzodinma is a man that loves the youth and loves whatever they are doing. And that notwithstanding, people that came together on this is people of like minds, businessmen, professionals, youth. They came together. Some of them, look, we have been going around, just check what we have been doing, the antecedent of what we have been doing. We have been going around to empower our people. We have gone to Ebonyi, we have gone to Abia, we have gone to Enugu, we have gone to Anambra, and last, we just concluded with Imo. We have been empowering our people without even government giving us a kobo. This is money gathered together by our people, our youth, our leaders. Who are the leaders of these groups? Most of them are businessmen. Most of them are outside the country. People, even the world. Some of them contributed 500 naira, 1,000 naira, 10,000 naira, and we came together and we said, look, we must use this medium to empower our people and use that medium as well to propagate the good works of the president in Southeast. And after our rally together and after empowering our people in different states, we now said, okay, the balance of this money, let us give it to the president for his re-election bid, so that the world will know, Nigerians will know, that this president who has done what A, B, C, D for us, which I have mentioned, we all will know that Southeast purchased this fund for president. In less than a couple of days.
Mr. Nwere, would you be willing?
We will be able to march to the APC secretariat to give a check of this 200 million naira to APC, reserved for the purpose of the president's election and his nomination form. And that other logistics are associated to that. That is the reason for this, and that is what we are going to do. We will stop at nothing.
Pardon me if you can hear me. Would you be willing to subject your accounts to public audit, just to ensure that what you're saying checks out, that indeed these funds has been raised even to the littlest of 500 naira and from others who are well-to-do within your organization?
These are coming from, is not by me. These are coming from, we have coordinators in all the local governments. We have 900 and 95 coordinators of our local governments. We have coordinators of all this is where they collected all this money. The coordinators of local government, coordinators of all the wards. We have ward coordinators. We have all of them. They collected all this money and said, this is the money we are going to give to the president. This is not about me. This is about the people who believes in the president. This is about people of Southeast who said the president has done so well for them, and they have come together and they said they must do this for the purpose of re-election of the president, that the president has done so well, and we will stop at nothing and to make sure that he is re-elected. It's not about me. It's about the people, because we said power must go back to the grassroots, and we didn't personalize it to people. Okay, you go and bring 1 billion, or go and bring 100 million, or go and bring 50,000. No, people got this. There are people that bought it by themselves. It's not about me. It's about the people, the coordinators. They brought the initiative, and the initiative was galvanized and said, we will do it. Look at the empowerment we are doing. Check how we are doing it. And you say that there is a lot of transparency, and you can audit it, and we can call the coordinators together. You can look at their account and see people that even gave 100 naira. I have somebody that gave 50 naira. I have somebody that said they gave 100. We have the list of them. We can publish it and how they brought this money together. That is very, very important.
Okay, so as we wind down, some have said you do not speak for the Southeast, that you just speak for your group. But again, politics is about numbers, largely, at the end of the day, really. So what are you promising? What kind of numbers are you promising President Bola Tinubu come 2027 if he chooses to buy that form, which we all know that everything points in that direction? What percentage vis-a-vis perhaps a PDP or a Labour Party? Are you able to give him 50% of the votes or more from the Southeast?
Yes, this time around, it is good for us to know that in the time past, On the last election, general election 2023, our people, some of us were deceived in voting for one particular and the other people, but now we are coming together and we are coming as one voice. We are coming with our PVCs, and we have started that drive already, that you must have your PVC, our market women, our in different unions, in different groups, in churches, etc., and other political parties. They are coming together this time around. Present, we have more than 60%. I can assure you, when we finish the drive down to the grassroots, that narrative must change. We must change that narrative that President Tinubu, you will have more than 50% of Southeastern votes.
Okay.
He must have more than 60,000 votes the other time, but this time we will have more than 100,000 and above from only Imo.
All right.
Coming together, we are going to ensure that the mobilization, just watch it. We are not going to just say this by words of mouth, but just watch what is going to happen. And you will see that the president come 2027, before 12 noon, 12 midnight, the result from Southeast will shock you.
So the president will have more votes than Peter Obi if he also is on the ballot for 2027?
We are calling everybody that everybody should join us in this cause.
All right.
We are calling our brothers and sisters who are scattered all over Nigeria, both in diaspora.
All
they
right.
will come together. All of us will come together to actualize this goal. 2027, the South says it is our turn. It is our turn to complete 8 years. Even the not completed 8 years, others completed 8 years. This is the turn of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to complete 8 years, and he is the one
All
we
right.
are bringing for the South to complete his 8 years. And that
Mr. Bello Sochukwu,
we are going to liaise.
we have to thank you so much because of time, but this is an ongoing conversation, and because we of course like to cover all grounds. The Southeast is also a major part of the conversation, and that's why we're speaking with you. We're speaking with the national coordinator of the Southeast Renewed Hope Agenda, Mr. Bello Sochukwu, and we're joining us from the airport, actually. That's why you can see the ambience around him. Thank you so much for your time, and wish you safe travels.
Well,
there you have it. Conversation about the Southeast support for President Bola Tinubu. What do you think, by the way? We'll take a moment now. When we return, we have more for you, particularly when it comes to safety, road, sea, air, rail. The NSIB's mandate has been expanded. What are they doing? We'll find out in a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome back. So let's talk safety. And indeed, as Kadi earlier said, the National Safety Investigation Bureau joins us to expand on that conversation, particularly with the expansion of their new mandates to now include road, rail, and of course marine transport. And as far as that is concerned, we know that there's so much to talk about concerning the many concerns emanating from transportation on all of these routes. And joining us on this particular one is Engineer Abdullahi Babanya, is the Director, Transport Investigation, Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau. He joins us today, of course, representing the Director General of that agency, Captain Alex Badi, who was supposed to be with us. Thank you so much, sir, for coming through on this conversation, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this really is a continuing conversation from, our last outing with Captain Alex Bade in February, where he did talk about how the Bureau encourages the NCAA, to carry out checks in line with its own recommendations, about concerns of airworthiness of Nigerian airlines, particularly following reports of concerns about aircraft skidding off runway upon landing concerns. And, after that episode of Max Air and the others, we've since recorded some others between June and July. There's Rano, which had an emergency landing in Sokoto, and of course there's also Air Peace Airlines. So it appears as if there are still concerns about regulation. How do you respond to this?
Thank you for this important question. You know, in safety management, you have to bring all parties that are involved in the system. NCAA, Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, is the regulator. NCAA makes the rules. NCAA certifies the operators, certifies the personnel, certifies the equipment, and ensure that airworthiness of the aircraft and other equipment that are involved in the navigation of flights are up to standard. And they also operate oversight functions to ensure that those certifications, authorizations, and approvals that they issued are followed on according to these approvals that were granted. On the other side, you have Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau, which is charged with independent investigation of occurrences. And when NSIB investigates, it makes recommendations. Now, through collaboration between Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau and the NCAA, we monitor compliance with those recommendations. Sometimes we issue recommendations and then the parties implement the recommendations, but here and there you have some failures. So we revisit those failures. We look at the effectiveness of those recommendations that were made, and then if there's need to readjust or to look the other way and see, expand the scope of the safety net, and then see what else can be done. So in that wise, you improve safety of the system. You know, wherever you have humans involved, definitely there are going to be errors, and these errors sometimes lead to unwanted situations. That is why you have constant surveillance of the system. From time to time, you conduct audits, you conduct visits, you know, to those facilities, to the aircraft, to the airports, check the runways, you know, from time to time. You have program at the beginning of the year on what to do and so on and so forth to ensure that you are looking at the entire system at a go. And if something happens in the process, NSIB will investigate. After investigation, make recommendations on how to improve the system. So that's how it works. Thank you very much.
So, Bukola.
Yes, Nate. So let's expand to you know, the other routes, since your mandate has now been expanded to include other routes of transportation. We know that you are releasing a document very soon that will encompass new recommendations on guidelines for safety on rail, on marine, and on road. Now, let's take them one by one. What would they be, for instance, for rail transport, where there are concerns of, you know, stolen tracks, there are concerns of developing faults midway, and passengers. We've seen this year passengers trekking long distances after their train, you know, ran into trouble and they couldn't continue with the journey.
Okay, like you have said, the mandate of NSIB has been expanded following the signing of the NSIB Establishment Act of 2022 by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Accident investigation is a process, and to comply with the process, we have to have policies, we have to have regulations, and then we have to have procedures on how to conduct those regulations. So as soon as we came on board, we looked at what we had on ground, and then first, to give the strength to the effect to the act, there has to be regulations. And what do the regulations do? Regulations define roles for entities that participate in a particular area. For example, we are talking about rail. Prior to the NSIB Establishment Act of 2022, the operations of railway in Nigeria had always been the entire business of Nigeria Railway Corporation. In this case, NRC is the operator, NRC is the regulator, NRC is the investigator. So whenever anything goes wrong in the operation of the rail system, which is operated by NRC, it is the same NRC that will conduct investigation and then proffer solutions on how to fix those. With the establishment of NSIB, we are having an independent accident investigator who is not part of the regulation, who is not part of the operations. So is standing alone. So in this situation, the regulations that we are making, and the regulations are derived from the acts that establish NSIB. So the regulations will define the roles of NRC in the event of an accident. NRC will be responsible for notifying the NSIB that certain occurrence have happened at a particular location, and that should come on time. And then NRC will now form a Go team that would deploy to the site, gather evidences, and then come back to the office and then conduct analysis of the evidences picked. So the regulations for investigation of rail accidents that NSIB is about to promulgate will actually determine the roles that entities in the rail system are going to play. And we have to remember now that Lagos State is also operating rail system. And we are aware also here in the FCT, there is a rail system, the metro line that is running within the city.
If I may pause in just a moment, sir.
The regulations.
Just a moment, because of time. So I want to throw in a couple of questions in one so you can unpack them for us. First, talking about safety, the Niger boat incident, I want to get maybe an update on whether you're involved in that and what exactly is going to be done. For me, is to prevent even further accident from happening in terms of regulation. I know your job is to investigate, which means sometimes it's more like coming to do damage control. But we need to be proactive to save lives. I would like you to speak to the issue of safety in that particular river. In addition, now that the mandate has been expanded, as great as it sounds, do you guys have the capacity as an institution in terms of manpower, in terms of technical know-how to be able to carry out these multi-layer, multi-subsectoral investigative activities?
Thank you. Let me start by extending our condolences to the families of the victims of the unfortunate Shiroro boat accident that happened on Saturday. The NSIB got to know about the occurrence through media, initially through social media. Then when the mainstream media started carrying the story, it drew our attention. So we deployed a Go team. Our Go team arrived, and you have to imagine that they deployed from Abuja down to Niger State, to Shiroro in particular. And they went to gather information on what has happened. From the reports that we got, the preliminary information that we gathered from the site, the accident happened as a result of the boat capsizing in the river. And the boat was carrying about 39 persons with a child. And unfortunately, 13 of them perished. What is important here is to mention that 7 of the 39 passengers were wearing life vests, and all the 7 survived. So what does this say? It says that some small but important steps need to be taken. Just ensure that all those people that are boarding those boats wear safety jackets, those flotation devices. In the event of the accident, they will be able to remain alive, remain on the surface of the water until rescue comes. Now, talking to the second part of your question, yes, we are new into those other areas. We have capacity we've been investigating air accidents. Since the inception of this administration, the DG has embarked on a multi-faceted, multi-pronged approach to improving our capacity and capability in investigating those other new modes that have been added to our mandate. So we are doing trainings, we are equipping our laboratories. In fact, as we speak, next week or thereabout, we are going to launch the installation of recording devices on road traffic. Our laboratory is being expanded. We have a material science laboratory that is also being expanded. We have identified training institutions that will give us the required trainings that we need. We have employed a number of personnel. By September, they are going to assume office. And we have already ironed out the kind of trainings that they require. We were able to harness expertise from professionals in the industry. They gave us their advice that we need to take, and definitely we are going to follow those advice to ensure that we develop the capacity that is required to conduct independent, thorough accident investigation in all the modes of transportation in Nigeria.
Before we go to road transport, I'd like us to revisit the matter of, train transport. Yes, indeed, your scope has only just been expanded following that legislation, but there are real concerns in that space about stolen sleepers, clips, train derailment. What would your specific recommendations be as far as that is concerned? And then the trains running through thousands of kilometers are not, bordered by any form of safety in terms of walls and all of that. In 60 seconds, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a very difficult question. There's always a thin line between safety and security. Most of the issues we are dealing with in the rail system have to do with security. So first and foremost, we have to ensure that security is provided to the infrastructure of the rail system in Nigeria. Things that other countries take for granted in Nigeria is not like that. You see somebody will just go and start picking infrastructure that is meant to serve the people for whatever reason. Therefore, first and foremost, we have to ensure that security is paramount to ensure that the track, because it's very long, the track system is well protected from pilfering of all kinds and also from intrusion, because as they run through forests and other desert areas, animals will also jump onto the tracks and can cause accidents.
Yeah, so, thank you very much.
It's very important that we look at that.
Yeah, pardon me, we're totally out of time. We must wrap up at this point, and of course, look forward to another opportunity, to exhaust this conversation as much as possible. We've been talking with Engineer Abdullahi Babanya, the Director, Transport Investigation, Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
When we return, there's more to come as we speak with a young Nigerian who is doing great things in the film industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Let's talk about a story that we followed up for a while. It's quite a touching story about someone who was incarcerated and later released. But the details of all of this is what is more important. And we'll leave it to the persons involved to tell you exactly what played out as far as the life of this individual that was altered is concerned. We're being joined in the program by Mr. Gospel Nwibari Kinane, who was an inmate that was released recently. He's being joined by Mr. Cyril Onu, the founder of Heaven 360 Foundation, as well as the brother of Mr. Kinani, who is Paul, sitting by his side there. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program. All right, if you can hear me, Paul, I would like to start with you, since you're sitting with your brother on this particular. What exactly happened, as brief as possible? I do not want to tell the story. I want the story to come from you. What exactly happened that your brother went to jail? What was later found out, and how was he released? Then we'll build from there. Paul, that's for you. Oh, dear. All right, maybe let me take it to Cyrus Ono. Mr. Ono, so maybe the same question I asked him, because I just wanted people to have a background of what we're talking about here.
Okay, good morning. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Gospel's Kinani's case is a really sad one. As from the facts of the case, apparently he was 14 years old when he was unfortunately taken from his home by law enforcement agencies and taken straight into the prison. He was just 14 years old, and since then he has been in prison for over 18 years. 18 years. Without any form of would I say trial or police record or what have you. So thank God, on the, I think that was on the 17th day of July this month, the Chief Judge of River State, after petitions, several petitions, several people conducted their own research, did a whole lot of investigations to his own community, to trace him to his own community. The Leonard Chief Judge, the highly esteemed Chief Judge, released him unconditionally, noting that indeed there was no charge, any form of documentation of any charge against him in the first place.
Because of the quality of your audio, I hope we can resolve that. I just wanted the audience to understand that the gentleman we're talking about here, Mr. Gospel Mwibari Kinane, was arrested by the police or law enforcement agency when he was 14 years old, and he was left in prison for 18 years, meaning that perhaps he's 32 now. For those number of years, no charge was brought against him. So I wanted to put that in context. Mr. Paul, I see that we have you. I wanted your comment as well as to why was he arrested? That's what I wanted to find out. Was there a reason for his arrest? Was it a random pickup? What exactly happened? And why was there no charge? Paul?
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And good morning
to
Gospel as well, who is sitting by your side.
Yeah, I am Paul Kinane. By my side is my brother, Gospel Mwibari Kinane. So, at this happened, we were living in a room in Port Harcourt called Ibofe. And we were there with my mother, because it was my mother that brought them to that place. And we were living fine. And, he was also going to school, primary school there, in a room there. So that fateful day, we discovered that because he was also around the house, normally as we used to be. We couldn't get him, and that we don't know his whereabouts. We started searching for him a lot. 2, 3 days, 1 week, and we have to even move around to ask people whether he travel, whether somebody carried him to somewhere, or whether we don't even know what to say. And this thing was a big problem in my family. My mother disturbed, my father disturbed, and we don't know what to do. So finally, my mother, a lot of sickness started coming, heart attack on the issue. This is the cause, also one of the causes why my mother died. My mother died in this process. And my father were also worried. Let us find him, let us trace him where he is. I said, where can we get him? A child we just lost like that. And my father was also shouting. I doesn't waste time, my father died. And so we don't know what to do, we leave it. We just say, well, everything is in the hand of God, that a child we just lost like that, without any offense, without anything, without knowing any reason why a child we just lost like that. And again, we have to 2017. So there was a young boy that said that he recognized my brother in the prison yard, that is from a village. So they leave people like that, they let us know. So I have to go to the Port Harcourt prison yard to go and look for my brother. So I have to move around there, ask people. Luckily, I met an Ogoni man who is also working there, who is working there. And then I talked with him. I asked him about my brother. He said they don't know any name like that and anybody like that here in the prison yard here. But what I'm going to do is that I should give them my number and they will call me whenever they get him available. If true that is there, then they will let me know. So I waited. I could not get anything from him. So the number switch off. When I call the number, it's not even going. So recently now, about 2 weeks and a half now, a young boy, Nekato, called me that there are people that are looking for me, that they're in my village now. So he carried them to my brother's wife place. Well, my brother's wife called me that I should answer Nekato. So Nekato had to speak with me. I had to speak with a young man also who speak to me that my brother have been found in prison yard in Port Harcourt. That the people will call me, that this is my number. I say yes, that the people will call me later in the day in Port Harcourt. Then I will get in touch with them. So later in the day, I was called by a man called Saros Unu, inviting me to his office. I have to go there, and he started to ask me one question or the other concerning how I know my brother. I know Gospel Kinane. I have to explain to him, I am their senior brother, and he was our last born. And I narrate as I said earlier. So he said, I have to swear fidelity that
internet connection. But this is a very, very sad story, Mr. Kinani. If I get the substance of what you have said, it means that by implication, when your brother was taken 18 years ago, for a very long time, you couldn't find him until this intervention by the Haven 360 group. And there's so much that we can talk about, you know, from what you have said. But let's go to the lawyer now. According to reports, there was no documentation on the charge sheet for which Gospel and others were charged and arrested, for those who were released following your intervention. That says a lot about the circumstances surrounding their arrest, and it speaks to innocence of Gospel. So what would you be doing now as the legal representative of Gospel and others? Are you taking this up such as some form of compensation can be paid to Gospel for their stolen lives?
All right, thank you very much. So you see, as you rightly noted, we've been on this matter for a very long time. And for me personally, I'm emotionally attached to this case because I think from the longer parts of last year to date, I've been the closest person with Gospel, going to the prison every day, interacting with him, and trying to trace his roots and all of that. So for us as a foundation, not really as his legal representative now, as a foundation for us, our primary responsibility is the well-being rehabilitation of Mr. Gospel. If you get to meet the young man one-on-one, it's you'll be saddened, you'll be depressed, honestly, at his condition. This was a young boy, 14 years old, young boy, lively, energetic, who loves to play football, sound, but now he's all mentally. It's very, very sad. So the first thing we did as a foundation, when we eventually got him out, was to ensure he gets proper rehabilitative care, which we've done. We've since got made him to see consultants, experts, psychiatrists, and they've actually began treatments, psychological treatments, and that's on the way, or rather it's ongoing. So for us, our primary responsibilities is well-being. We're a young foundation, very, very young foundation. We're barely a year. We're self-funded. So the resources, we have way over 500 cases we're currently doing, cases like gospel. So we channel our resources. For us, we believe our resources should be channeled towards his well-being, towards the betterment, towards his mental health, and of course. But the family is at liberty. They want to explore legal, explore legal remedies for compensations and redress and all of that. They are free to. But for us, our primary responsibility right now is to ensure Mr. Gospel gets the proper urgent medical attention he needs.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Cyrus Onu. Let me just ask Mr. Paul Kinani just a final question in about a minute. By the way, just right next to Mr. Paul is the man in question, Mr. Gospel, but we understand that he's undergoing treatment, psychiatric and psychological treatment because of his mental condition, having spent 18 years in prison. Mr. Paul, what is a family? Are you demanding compensation or anything? And how is his health now? If you can speak to that in a minute, sir.
Well, when we met him in the prison yard, the day I went there with the people that invited me. So when I get there, I entered into the place. I saw that a lot of people were there. And then I have to see him in a different shade. Then when we were close together after when he got released, I know that the mental health is very wrong. He was speaking a different thing. He can hear if I ask him about his name, he will tell me his name. Then at the same time, he'll be speaking a different thing. I say, oh, my brother, think something is wrong to my brother. My brother is not normal again. It's not normal. So I started to shed tears and then cry a lot of the situation. It involved me very seriously. And so I said, so it's like this, my brother have turned to be. So it's very bad. It was very bad. But now, as I'm talking to you now, the foundation, the 360 Foundation, try a lot for me. Try a lot, both feeding, caring, treatment, everything. They are on now. Seriously, they are on. Yesterday, they did a lot of tests on him. Today, the test is easy to continue again after here. So they have done a lot. Very well.
All right. So I think the question is, we're totally out of time. I just wanted to find out from the lawyer, just 1 second. Was it the police that arrested him? Which security agency arrested him? And what is being demanded of them?
See, that is a big mystery with this particular case. As a result of the fact that there is no documentation whatsoever, we are unable to verify. We can't even tell.
All right.
I ended up in prison.
Okay. This is a very, very, it just speaks to a lot about our system, our correctional centers, our judicial system. Okay, I can't blame judiciary now because I never went to court at some point. And the law enforcement, this is, I don't know. How do you accept somebody without clarity? So let's get to find out more maybe later. Thank you so much, guys. And we don't know what to say, but our sympathies, and we hope the gentleman can recover. Gospel, Mwibari Kinani, just released in May, spent 18 years in prison without charge. Cyrus Onu is the founder of Heaven 360 Foundation, and Paul Kinani is the brother of Gospel. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
And when we come back, we'll switch gears from that to the creative sector. Join us in just a moment. We'll be right back. So
yes, we're joined by Solanke, British-Canadian actor, but he is Nigerian. You can even tell from his look, from his name. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning. I'm fine. Lovely to meet you.
It's good to have you at home.
Lovely to be here.
What have you eaten already?
What have I eaten? You know what? I haven't eaten anything today, but I'm excited to eat some good old jollof rice and plantain. You know.
Fantastic, because I saw you sharing the gospel of jollof rice on the social media. And it looks like you've converted a lot of people.
I have to. Everywhere I go, I'm colonizing all of them with jollof rice. My mom specifically.
I love that.
Yes, the best.
So let's talk about your work. Fantastic. So you're in the Bed series on Netflix, which, by the way, season 2 is coming out.
Yes,
You're Ryan Adebayo on that series. In fact, I've got cards for you today. I could also know if you're a gambler in that sense.
Yeah.
Does this bring back memories?
You know what? That does bring back memories. I learned a little something on set.
Oh, really?
So it was like I had to learn how to
shuffle.
So there was a new way they taught us, which is like this. We put these cards like this, and then we...
No way.
And you shuffle like that. I couldn't do that before. And then, yeah, it took a few months, but...
That is really cool. Really cool. So, Bet, clown in a cornfield. Come on, you're doing great stuff.
Yeah.
Walk us through your journey. Starting Nigeria, the UK, Canada, and here you are.
Yeah. So, of course, the journey started in Nigeria. Didn't start with me. Started with my dad, actually, and my parents. They wanted to, give us a better life. Also, just raise us in a better environment. So we moved to England initially, and so I was here at 2 years old. My brother was 3. Moved to England, and then I was there for about 10 years, and I wasn't really pursuing theater or film in any kind of career sense. It was more of a hobby. I was doing a lot with my brother. I was doing a lot of community theater, and it was really in 2015 when we moved to Canada that I started taking it more seriously, I guess. There's a lot of productions that shoot where we live. It's a city called Winnipeg, and I think I just took advantage of what was going on, and I started auditioning and getting myself on set, and then one thing led to another, and here we are today.
You are.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. I now remember Bet because I was watching the entire thing, and so when he came in, I was like, okay, this is it. And the hair, it reveals a lot. When I watched Bet, I was thinking to myself, how did this guy navigate this series of emotion? Like, what I like about your character is the latitude that it gives you to move from somebody who has been victimized to somebody who has been a victor, and then it just keeps going up and down. You guys, the technical people, understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Walk us through how that works for you, since it's something that initially said, okay, this was not a big deal for you, but now it's a big deal. How do you walk through those characters?
Yeah, Ryan is a really interesting character because I was able to do something that not many other people were able to do on set in terms of the character. Was just like really bring this to home, because I feel like a lot of the experiences that Ryan had experienced, I had experienced the same thing, where it's like you're navigating through coming out of your shell, or navigating through not being seen in a certain light, everybody treating you like kind of like a outcast, or just undermining you, and you really building yourself up, growing out of that shell. So that was really interesting exploring, and I felt like that also gave it a more grounded edge. Many people were able to relate to Ryan because they felt like, oh wow, this is like me. Like they saw themselves in the character. So that was a really cool experience for me to.
We're running out of time, but I quickly
Yeah.
want to get this one in. Speaking of characterization, your bio here says you've been in a number of horror flicks, and I know the emotions that actors have to bring to bear, even in normal films, but horror. But it's a real aspect of our lives. So how are you able to, you know, navigate the transitions?
Yeah, no, horror is not for the weak. It's you know, you think you won't be scared on set because it's just, you know, it's fake. I'm actually behind the scenes, but I still got scared because there was a clown. I'm telling you, the room I was supposed to. So spoiler alert, I die in my room, and there's a clown behind me, and it's supposed to be like this eerie, like me turn around, and then he has a knife and slashes my neck. It was so quiet on set, and then when I just shut the cupboard door and I turned around and I just see this scary clown. I was just like, what am I?
The African is like,
yeah, it was
blood
just
of Jesus.
I felt like I almost just, you know, I was like, stay in the script, don't punch it. No, honestly, I was scared. I was scared.
I just wanted, on a final note, how did your family take it? Were they praying? Did you come back and they did deliverance for you? Because I mean, Africans and horror, acting in it, it's not, we don't blend.
You know what? I had to get my mom a little bit. I had to get my mom. So there was the day that I had the scene where I died, I had a prosthetic cut just all over my neck with fake blood and everything. I didn't wash it before I came home. So I came home at like 2 a.m. and then I knocked on my mom's door. She was waiting for me, of course, you know, African parents. So when she saw me, she just screamed. She's like, ah, are you okay? I had to. I'm fine. It's a prosthetic. But yeah, no.
We can go on and on. I just want you to answer yes or no. Are we seeing you in a Nigerian project soon?
You know what? I hope so. I hope so. Fingers crossed for that one.
We look forward to it.
Yeah,
Ayo Solanke, I'm glad we made this happen. 22 years old.
Yes,
and you're doing amazing stuff.
Already.
Bro, the sky is your starting point. Thank you so much. And to your family, they're here as well. Thank you.
Yes,
Great to have you as well.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. Sunrise Daily is up at the top of the hour. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Bye-bye.
There's more excitement ahead of the week, so stay with Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Kaido Kikiolu. Don't forget to watch Ayo's work on Netflix and all over. Goodbye.